After 7 years captivity, Colleen escaped from the clutches of her abductor. He was found guilty of kidnapping and rape and sentenced to 100 years.
Some stories just feel like urban legend, but this one over here is painfully real. And once you hear it, you will never look at a simple car ride the same way again. Imagine trusting someone for just 1 minute and losing 7 years of your life. Imagine stepping into a car thinking you're safe and realizing that you've walked straight into a nightmare. Colleen Stan was just 20 years old in 1977 when she set out from Oregon, hitchhiking toward Northern California to visit a friend for her birthday. Hitchhiking was common then, and Colleen, just like so many young people, believed that the world was mostly safe. That is when a blue Dodge Colt pulled over. Inside were Cameron and Janice Hooker, a young couple with a baby, which made everything seem harmless and almost comforting for her. Colleen assumed she was lucky, but little did she know that she had just stepped into the most horrifying chapter of her life. What Colleen didn't know was that the moment the door of that blue Dodge Colt shut behind her, the life she knew was over. She wasn't heading toward a birthday party anymore. She was heading into 7 years of darkness, silence, and terror. Can you imagine? 7 years inside a wooden box like an object. At first, the ride felt normal. Cameron and Janice seemed friendly. They talked softly, kept the baby smiling, and acted like any regular couple driving through California. But Colleen noticed something weird: a wooden box lying on the car floor. It was shaped strangely, like it wasn't just for tools or random junk. What she didn't know was that the box would soon become her prison. After driving for hours, the Hookers pulled over near Red Bluff to check out a viewpoint. The moment Colleen stepped out, everything changed. Cameron grabbed her. Before she could scream, he forced the weird wooden box over her head and locked it.
For your neck, and the thing kind of opened up like a clamshell, you know. He put this head box over my head and then laid me down on the seat.
Hooker had made the head box himself with a specific purpose in mind.
The purpose of the head box was to prevent people from hearing you scream. And it was also a way of blinding the kidnapped person and controlling them.
Darkness and suffocating air. Cameron drove her to their home, a simple and quiet house that looked like any other. But inside, behind a door that stayed locked at all times, was a makeshift torture room. Chains, straps, ropes, and the coffin. Like box where she would spend most of her life, not a day, not a week, but years. Colleen was tied up, blindfolded, gagged, and hung from the ceiling for hours. Cameron tortured her physically and psychologically.
He left her hanging there. Then he dragged her over to a crate-sized box in the corner of the basement and tied her up again.
I got very scared, and I had convinced myself that I couldn't breathe, and so I was just sitting there hyperventilating, and just every breath I thought, this is my last breath, I can't breathe.
Hooker's plan to break Colleen down was now well underway.
But the real twist: he did not keep her just for his own control. He turned her into something he called a slave, and he brainwashed her with one massive lie, a lie that would keep her trapped even when escape was possible. He told her about a fake secret society called the Company. He said they were watching her, and he said if she ran, they would kill her family, and destroy anyone she ever loved.
I read through the contract, and I was very upset. I was shaking and crying, and pretty much it said, you know, that I was signing over my body and soul to him.
It was to be a defining moment of her captivity. She was told the almost unbelievable story that by signing the contract, she was to be registered with a powerful network of male slave owners. They operated throughout America and were known as the Company.
Cameron made her believe she was not just trapped in a basement, but she was trapped in a system that could hurt her even outside the house. This lie became the invisible cage that held her even tighter than the real one. Weeks passed, then months, then years. Colleen was kept inside a wooden box that fit her body so tightly she could barely move. She had to lie flat. The air was hot and thin. She could not even stretch her legs or adjust her back. In the summer heat, that box turned into an oven. She slept there. She ate there. She cried silently there. She existed there. The hookers would walk around their home, watch TV, cook dinner, raise their children, all while Colleen lay trapped under their bed like a hidden object. For almost 23 hours a day, she was not a person anymore. She was just the girl in the box. But here's the part that shakes people the most. Colleen was sometimes allowed to leave the house and she came back. Yes, she returned, because the psychological manipulation was that strong. Cameron took her outside to work in the garden. He brought her on family camping trips. He even made her babysit his children while she still believed she was being watched by the company. She never ran. She never screamed for help. Not because she didn't want to, but because she truly believed escape meant death. At one point, he even let her visit her family. This is the moment that feels impossible. Colleen, who was kidnapped, tortured, and locked inside a box, sat in her own home, eating dinner with her parents, smiling and trying to act normal.
Did you want to tell them the truth?
Oh yeah, I wanted to scream it out, but I too was so afraid, because I was afraid for their safety. I was afraid for my own safety, because I truly believed in the company, and I truly believed that these people were backing this guy up.
Her mother later said she felt something was wrong but couldn't understand what Colleen seemed thin, tired, and nervous. But she kept insisting she was fine, that she was in love and she was traveling with a boyfriend. Her family hugged her goodbye, not knowing she was walking back into hell. The manipulation was that deep. Cameron had convinced her that if she even hinted at the truth, the company would kill everyone at that dinner table. So she smiled. She hugged her parents and she went back to the hookers. But the story gets even darker. Janice, Cameron's wife, was not innocent or clueless. She was not trapped. She was not a victim in the same way. She was fully aware of what was happening. At first, she helped him abduct girls before Colleen. Cameron had already abused Janice for years, marrying her when she was only 15. He manipulated her too, but in a different way. He convinced her that having Colleen would reduce his need to abuse her. It sounds twisted, because it is twisted. Janice helped him keep Colleen locked up. She helped maintain the lie about the company. She let Colleen sleep inside the wooden box even during her own pregnancies. She cooked meals while Colleen starved under the bed. She was not just a bystander, she was part of the prison. But after years of seeing Colleen's suffering, Janice began to break. The guilt ate her alive. She started questioning Cameron more. The lies, the torture, the control, the obsession he had with making Colleen his slave, and the fact that Cameron was slowly slipping deeper into madness. Finally, after 7 years, Janice snapped. One night in 1984, she told Colleen the truth. There was no company. They were never being watched. She was never going to be killed for escaping. It was all a lie. Imagine hearing that after 7 years of fear. 7 years of sleeping in a box. 7 years of silence. 7 years of believing your family was in danger, and 7 years of losing your identity. When Janice told her the truth, Colleen didn't scream. She didn't run. She stayed quiet and stunned. It took hours before her body even processed freedom. But Janice helped her escape. She gave her money. She drove her to a bus station. She watched her get on a bus back home. And just like that, after 7 years, Colleen stepped into the sunlight as a free woman. But even freedom was complicated. How do you explain 7 years of torture? How do you tell your family why you didn't escape earlier? How do you reclaim your life when your mind is still trapped inside a box? Colleen struggled, but slowly, piece by piece, she rebuilt herself. And Cameron? Well, at first he did not realize she was gone, but when he did, he panicked. But Janice did something no one expected. She walked into a police station and confessed everything. She exposed Cameron. She exposed the lies. She revealed every horrible detail. She told the police exactly where to find evidence. In 1985, Cameron Hooker was arrested and charged with kidnapping, sexual assault, and torture. During the trial, the truth shocked the courtroom. The wooden box, the contracts Cameron forced Colleen to sign, the slave training, the psychological torture, the family visits, the manipulation, the years inside the coffin like a box. People could not believe a human being survived all that. Colleen stood in court and testified against the man who stole her 20s, her 30s, her peace, and her freedom. Her voice shook, but she spoke. She relived the trauma. She faced Cameron directly. She made sure the world heard her story. Cameron was sentenced to 104 years in prison. Janice was granted immunity in exchange for her testimony, a controversial decision even today. Some people believe she was also a victim. Others think she should have been punished. But Colleen, she chose forgiveness, not for Cameron, but for herself. She decided forgiveness was the only way she wouldn't stay trapped forever. Because the truth is, leaving the box did not free her mind immediately. Trauma does not vanish when the door opens. But Colleen kept pushing forward. She built a new life. She worked at a women's shelter. She spoke publicly about survival, manipulation, and resilience. She used her voice to protect others from men like Cameron. Her story became one of the most chilling real-life nightmares ever recorded, not because of monsters in the dark, but because of the monsters who look like ordinary people. A young couple, a sleeping baby, a friendly smile, and a car ride that felt safe. That's how easily life can change. Colleen Stan lost 7 years, but she refused to lose herself. And that courage and that refusal to break is what kept her alive. But Colleen's journey did not end in that courtroom. Freedom is not a switch you flip. It is a slow walk back into your own skin. After returning home, she struggled with simple things like sleeping without fear, walking outside without checking over her shoulder, and learning how to make decisions again. For 7 years, every choice had been made for her. Now she had to relearn how to live. Even small sounds would send her spiraling. A door closing too loudly. Heavy footsteps in a hallway. The sound of wood scraping against the floor. Her mind had been trained to react, to brace for pain, and to prepare for commands that no longer existed. Recovery did not come in a moment. It came in tiny steps. Some days she moved forward. Other days she felt pulled back into that box. But Colleen was not alone. Her family stood by her. Her community supported her. And slowly she started turning her trauma into strength. She began speaking to survivors, sitting with women who had escaped abusive situations, telling them they weren't broken and they weren't alone. Her voice, once silenced, became a shield for others. One of the most powerful parts of her healing was understanding that what happened to her did not define her. Yes, she had been a victim, but she was also a survivor, a fighter, and eventually a symbol of resilience. She started sharing her story publicly, not to relive the pain, but to stop others from falling into similar traps. Her courage helped change how people understood psychological manipulation and trauma bonding. Today, Colleen's story is more than a horrifying crime. It is a lesson about human strength. It is a warning about trust. And it is a reminder that survival isn't just about staying alive, but it's about reclaiming your life after the storm has passed. The story of Colleen. Stan isn't just a horror story, it's a reminder of how fragile safety can feel and how strong the human mind is when everything else is taken away. She survived 7 years inside a wooden box, 7 years of silence, 7 years of fear, and still walked out stronger than the people who tried to destroy her. If this story shook you, share it. Someone out there needs to hear how real survival looks. Someone out there needs the reminder that even in the darkest, tightest box, there is still a way out, even if it takes years. What part of Colleen's story stunned you the most? And what do you think about this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more gripping content. Thanks for watching.